Thanks, Vic. Masters of Evaluation members are focused on elevating their speaking, leadership, and evaluation skills, and doing so without offending others. As SAA, it's also my role to share a few practices to provide us with a smooth flowing meeting. For example, we ask you to silence your phones now. We do want to see you. Hello there. Unless you are moving around, eating or drinking, do remember to turn your video off then, and then turn your video back on once you've finished with your movements. In order to make our meeting more interactive, we ask everyone to keep your video and attention on. Finally, if you are serving a speaking or functionary role, we ask you rename yourself right now. Put your first name, your job title, and that way we'll be easily able to identify you and what role you serve. And some of us who are board officers, you can see it says SAA on my little window here, and others have theirs. These few recommendations will ensure we all have an enjoyable, comfortable, and fabulous memorial visit together. I believe the recording has started. I know it has. And again, please remember to turn your phone back on at the end of the meeting. You don't want to miss any calls from your fan club. It is now my pleasure to bring to our virtual stage the dynamic and always intentional, fun-loving, elected president of Masters of Evaluation, Mr. John White.
Thank you very much. Welcome, Master of Evaluations and guests. Is it just me, or is April looking particularly stunning today?
Oh, my. Thank you, darling.
You look wonderful. Just a warning, Muriel invited 75 of her closest friends, so if you wanted to get those ribs or that chicken, I would get on that buffet line real quick, because they may go later on. Gotcha. Well, I'm very excited for today's meeting. As you know, we're a club that's been in existence about 2.5 years, so this is our second full year, and we work on improving our evaluations and also adding interesting content to up our game. And today was the idea of Sandra and Vincent and others to watch the winning speeches and watch those and then come up with winning evaluations. So we're being put to the test, and I'm sure that our training will come through. So I wanted to welcome everyone, just welcome you with my short words and hello, and I wanted to introduce our guests. He doesn't care what you call him. In fact, his mom never called him by his given name. It looks like it's Reebok, but he will go respond to Reebok. It's 3 a.m., but he's still coherent. Reebok, how'd you find out about us?
Vincent.
He's a man of few words. Just so you know, if you get to table topic, Reebok, we may ask for a little more than Vincent. Whale Thomas, how did you find about us?
Thank you. I heard from Muriel Shabazz. She's a friend, and I'm glad to be here.
It's great to see you. Lee Emma Tangella, last time I saw you, you looked like you were in a suit looking for a job. It looks like you got the job and you're the president, and you can just dress any way you damn well please. How are you, Lee?
I'm doing great, John.
Welcome back. Helen, are we still a guest, but about to submit our application for member? Where are we?
I don't know if have I received an application. I don't know what the procedure is, but I would love to be a member. So, because I think I've visited quite a few times now, haven't I? So, hopefully.
You're like a member and you're the table topic master. I guess what I'm saying, Helen, is let's make it official. Let's make a boyfriend, girlfriend if we could.
Okay.
Sue Scroback? Is that true?
That is absolutely true. Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Great being back again. I once had the honor actually to evaluate your speech, John. And I was invited by Muriel. I see her beautiful smile here. So thank you very much for the invitation, and very excited to today's meeting and enhancing my evaluation skills here.
They're very enhanced, as I recall from your evaluation of mine. I've never given so much constructive freedom. Feedback, felt good about myself, and saw that there was much more area for improvement. Lorene Wood, welcome. How'd you find out about us?
Hello, welcome. I received the email this morning from Muriel Shabazz. I'm a member of Justice Masters, and I'm trying to improve my evaluation skills.
Well, you've come to the right place. Muriel never gives bad advice. So welcome. Muriel, more on you in a moment here. Abayami, did you connect? Still trying to connect. Is it Rasak? Well, you have to help me with your last name, Rasak. Can you unmute and say hi?
Greetings, everyone. My name is Razak Odejayi. Titiamuya Shaba has shared the link with us. That's why I'm here. I'm happy to be here.
Wonderful. Well, thank you and welcome. Just a moment, if we could, about Muriel Shabazz. She is still a member of Masters of Evaluation. She was a founding member. Someone just paid for her through March of 2024, but she recently indicated her life is just so darn busy that she's going on she's a Toastmaster going on a silent retreat for 10 days. Just chew on that. But there's a bunch of things that she's doing. And so I just want to share my impressions of Muriel. It's not like she's dead. I mean, she's actually here and she's still inviting people to meetings. But when I think of Muriel Shabazz, I think of upbeat, enthusiastic. Muriel, this is my version of a video, which I'm incapable of doing. This is a live video. She's upbeat, enthusiastic, sweet, and she always has this present smile. And she's, ever since she joined, and she's a founding member, she set the tone at MOE meetings where we all felt welcome and respected. And she's a great ambassador for Toastmaster and obviously for Masters of Evaluation. And what I love about her, she's true to herself. She's a free spirit who somehow follows the rules and regulations of Toastmasters, which could be a bit much for some, and yet stay true to who she is while being respectful of Toastmasters. And also, finally, she's a dynamo at recruitment and closing and whatever you need, she's got people. And if you're in a board meeting and say, we need a speaker for next meeting, she'll recruit them in the middle of a board meeting. This woman has no boundaries. She has no limitations. I'm a huge fan. Muriel, you must return as often as possible. Does anyone else want to share a word about this dynamo, this?
No, we want to do the evaluations of our.
Muriel, I'm in control, as they said in that movie. I'm in control. Okay. April, I think you wanted to say something.
Muriel she's a dynamo. I will add to that she's a dynamo dynamite.
Thank you, Sue.
All right, she's getting embarrassed. But April, I think you had specifically asked to say something. Did you not? I'm not. You're muted. April, could you try that again?
How about that?
There we go.
Muriel was the first sergeant at arms this group ever had. And I would never, ever have thought a person could have that much fun with a simple little role like sergeant at arms. But Muriel just made you feel like you were thrilled to be here. I mean, it wasn't just fun to be here. It was thrilling to be here. And so, Muriel, you have very dainty feet, but I'm trying to slam my big ones in to be able to do an effective job as well. But I thank you so much for the heart and the love and the invitations that you've generated for Masters of Evaluation.
Well, thank you, April.
And we adore you, and we want you back. Yes. Pleasure. Thanks.
More to come. Muriel's getting embarrassed and self-conscious. I'm sorry, I haven't looked at the roster recently. I don't know your official status, but Harold, I'm going to treat you like a guest and that it's been so long. Could you just say hi to us? We've missed you terribly.
I've missed the club. Also, Muriel I'm in communication with her from time to time. She's very interesting. She will be very much missed from the club. And I'm looking forward to the champion speaker this today. We're going to evaluate.
Harold's subtle way of saying, let's get to the program. I will do that, but I do not want to disrespect Gianna Kindle. I didn't say hi to you. Gianna, you're a guest. Muriel invited you. Anything else you care to share?
Just that anytime I have the pleasure of being in the presence of the phenomenal Muriel, I am always going to make it my business to be there. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Back to you.
One last word on Muriel. She is considering running for president for 2024 as an independent. All right. I just wanted to put that out there. We've got a full meeting. So let's get to it. It's my pleasure to turn the meeting over to our Toastmaster of the day, Vincent Nerée. Vincent?
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Good morning to you. Good afternoon to myself. And it's the middle of the night in Reeboks, Australia, down under. Can you imagine somebody connecting from all the way just across the middle of the earth? Today is going to be a very special meeting. We will listen to 3 award-winning speeches from Toastmasters, and we will try to give these 3 speakers feedback. We might not be able to listen to 3 because we are running late already, so we might limit it to 2. The structure will be fairly easy. First of all, Sandra, would you give us the criteria of what we will be evaluating?
There we go.
Yes, okay.
All right. So we're going to try some new techniques or some old and tested and tried. Good ones, ideas for looking at how we view a speech. We have 3 winning speeches, so already off the bat, we know they're good. But I want you to specifically look for some things today. Number 1 is, at the end of the day, could you go and say to a friend, I heard a speech today and this is what the speaker said. This was their message. Can you paraphrase their speech? Did they have a main message or even a secondary message? And did they have a goal for that message? Was it achieved? Did they hit the finish line? How is the speech organized? And I will put all of this in the chat so that you have this to use as your foundation. How is the speech organized? Is it chronological? Is it logical? Does it make sense? Does it connect with you? And if it did the voice or body enhance that connection with you? Enhance the reception of the message? Did they use some unusual language or techniques, variety, rhetorical devices, things that tickle your eardrum a little bit? And were there any notable moments, like an impression they made on you, or how did they use humor in their speech? Then here comes the negatives, and we do want you to point out how this could be improved as well. Were there any distractions to you hearing and receiving the message? At the end of the day, again, can you paraphrase that message, or did something distract you from remembering it? And most importantly, was there an indelible moment, that one point where you got it and you're going to remember it from here on in? And so we're going to do that. We'll get to snap evaluations next, but we'll talk about that right before we do that. We're going to try some new techniques on our table topics evaluations today, led by Helen. Are we ready to roll the first video? Oh, let me put in the chat for you all the criteria that we are looking for so that you have this. And this is a handy sheet to keep for your future evaluations, even evaluating yourself. Record yourself on Zoom and evaluate yourself. So when you're ready to roll, let me know, Vincent.
I am happy to let you know, but we still have to do in our timer. And our timer is joining us from the room next door. The room next door. Karina Hakas.
Hello. Hello. Good evening. Can you see me? No, you cannot. Now you can see me. I hope
the word timer.
Yes.
I can see.
Okay, now I am here. I will be your timer for this special session. I will inform you now how it will be taken. The round robin will have 2 minutes. The round robin master will have 2 minutes, one at the beginning and one at the end to present the section and to round up the session. Every evaluator will have 45 seconds to deliver her or his evaluation. I will show the yellow card at 30 seconds, the red card at 45 seconds. And at 1 minute, I will mute you. But please, don't think I am rude. It's just to be on time. On the table topics, as normal, we have 2 minutes, between 1 and 2 minutes. Yellow 1, green 1, yellow 1 and 30, and 2 red. And for the evaluation, we will have the same procedure, the same criteria as for the round robin, 45 seconds and 1 minute muted. That's all my report. I will tell you at the end of the meeting how it goes. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Karina, Mrs. Timer. Yes, the structure will be, our Sandra will be showing us a video recording of the award-winning speech of the Toastmasters International Conference in the Bahamas last August. And then we will have 7 minutes to evaluate that speech. What I would like you to do is to be very much on the ball. Just give one recommendation and one commendation. Tell us what you really liked about the speech and tell us what you think could be done better. If you don't consider anything could be done better, that's okay as well. We're not going to put you under any pressure. The idea is that although we are just a club, we still are able to evaluate senior speakers. And I think we will be able to do that in a very meaningful way. So the first round is being led by our Pat Casling from Ireland, and he will run the round robin of the evaluation after we've heard the recording which Sandra is going to play to us now. Sandra, off you go.
Jocelyn Tyson. Have you been there? Have you been there? Jocelyn Tyson.
Thank you, Contest Chair.
You're welcome.
It was the summer of 2021, and I was reaching a milestone birthday. I decided to skip the party and pick something epic off my bucket list. Triathlon. For those of you unfamiliar, it is a race that contains 3 disciplines: swim, bike, run. Now, almost immediately, my inner go-getter said, yeah, let's do this. Show them you still, got it. But my inner critic, slow down, hot stuff. You hate swimming. You barely bike. And girl, wait a minute, that swimming thing, you can't do it. And just like that, I had 2 warring sides, both with logical explanations on why I should or shouldn't do it. A decision to make. This one, yes. That one, no. Have you been there? I decided to go with my inner go-getter. I signed up for the race. I started jogging, I borrowed a bike, and yes, friends, I took swim lessons. And after 8 months straight of training every day, I was ready. It's race day. People are lined up along the banks of a lake, ready to start the first part, the swim. They blow the whistle, and the race is off. I, on the other hand, am still at the bank of the lake. Why? You see, friends, my brain could not seem to understand that the water, the dark, dreary cedar water, was the same water that I had learned to swim in at the pool. There it was clear, you could see to the bottom, but this was darkness. I go to put my face in and I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I started to panic. I look over to my right, I see my family, they're looking back at me. What's wrong? I look over to the other side and I can see all the people lined up to see the start of the race. They're watching me. And behind me are the people coming up for their next wave of the swim. I had a choice to make, go forward into the water or go back home for where I came. A situation. This one, yes. That one, no. Have you been there? I chose to do the only thing any would do in that logical situation. I flipped over on my back and started the backstroke. Now, swimming has a certain grace, a beauty, if you will. This had neither grace nor beauty. This was not swimming. This was surviving. I'm knocking into people, bumping into things over, like things over around, all things going on, all the while hyperventilating. Before I realized, I heard it. Ma'am, you're going the wrong way. All I could think to myself at that time was, I wonder who they're talking to. Ma'am, 322, you're going the wrong way. 322, no, I'm 322. I look over, I am 50 meters off course. Now in swim time, that's not too bad. But for me, it was everything. I had to stop, get myself together, and I got back on course. Now there are lifeguards spread out along the lake in canoes. I swim up to one of the canoes. The lifeguard, she looks over the boat, and she looks at me and says, "Ma'am, you really need to think this through, okay? Look, you can still finish the race. We'll let you finish the bike. We'll let you finish the run, but you might want to think about quitting this." And I understood where she was coming from. There was a lot going on. And my inner critic agreed with her all the more. You're in over your head. Like 12 feet to be exact. Quitting sounds like a smart move right now. I looked up at her. I let go. I kept on swimming. I went on for another few more meters before I grabbed hold of another canoe. That lifeguard leaned over and she said to me, "You're doing good. Not much further. You got this." Advice. This one, yes. That one, no. Have you been there? I let go. I finished the swim. I'm staggering up the bank. My legs feel like lead. My lungs are on fire. I'm coughing out water, all the while exhausted. I get to the bike. I fall up on top of the bike, one foot in front of the other as I pedal. To this day, I have no clue how I finished those 12 miles, but I got them done. When I finished, I tossed the bike to the side. I have now the run to do. At this point, my inner critic steps out bold and says, "You still have a third to do? You hate running. Why are we still here?" At this point, my inner go-getter steps out and says, "We only have a third left to do. You trained for this. Yes, we're still here." I shimmy, shod, struggled, stanky legs all the way across to clear that finish line. I had done what I did it. That race took a lot out of me, but I took more out of it. Whether you have to make a big decision, overcome a situation, take advice, or just finish what you started, these are things that can happen, and life can have two warring sides. This one, yes. That one, no. And both can come with logical explanations on why you should or shouldn't do it. Do I start a new job? Do I begin chemo? Do I finish chemo? Do I move? Do I start a new family? Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. It was said by Henry Ford. Because what matters most is what is within you. Friends, you can be your worst critic. No one knows your weaknesses or your flaws like you do. But at the same time, you can be your biggest cheerleader, and no one can push you further or take you higher. I implore you, no, I beg you, look deep within on that next challenge. Find your inner go-getter and see how far it can push you. I've been there. Have you? Contest chair.
Thank you very much, Sandra, for sharing this video. I would like to call onto the stage Pat Caslin. He will explain how we will evaluate this speech, and then I would like you to raise your physical or virtual hand so that he can call you to give you a version. And try to keep into 45 seconds. Just one recommendation, one commendation will be fine. Pat, the stage is yours.
So just explain to me, Vincent, very briefly, I'm going to ask the evaluators, am I, to give their 45-second recommendation, or do you want me to give some view on it prior?
Well, I think you can. Yeah, I think you're entitled to give us some of your own feedback, please. But then you call on.
Personally, give me timer. Just what time do I have for that? A minute or 2 minutes?
You have a total of 2 minutes.
2 minutes.
In total,
2 minutes. Thank you. Thank you. This is the first time that I've seen the speech, and I'm pleased that I have, because I'll be evaluating it or giving you some feedback on how I related to it straight off the top of the head, as if I were in a contest or judging a contest. So my impression of this speech was that very, very well worked. But for my feeling, a little overplayed in terms of the gestures, in terms of the responses, in terms of the breathlessness. We kind of got the idea. I thought there was good humor in it. I thought there were some really good points made in it at the end of the speech. And I thought that the messages were good, and the messages were strong, and the messages were clear. And particularly in the phrase, if you think you can, whether you think you can or whether you think you can't, you're right. And that came out well in terms of the story told. It came out well in terms of the challenge, in terms of the, have you been there? And we have all been there. And it's something that the messages, though, were a little confused in terms that there were a lot of them at the end that came around this. And I thought that it could have been clearer in a lot of ways as to what the one message was. And the one message for me was, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. I'd like to hear now what others thought of some of the messages and the clarity, and whether there are room for improvement. So can I go around the room, Conscious or Vincent?
Yes,
yeah. Okay, so let me see. Julie, would you like to, Julie Parker?
Let's see, am I muted?
No, we can hear you.
It's interesting, Pat, because you picked up the two things that I did. I'm in Vermont and it was frozen. So I saw little jumped, almost like a cartoon. Every time she changed move, I jumped with her. So it was emphasized, the over movement. It was a marvelous message, I must agree. And the one phrase that I wrote out was, whether you can or whether you can't, you were right. So obviously that struck a chord with at least two of us. I thought it was well activated. I thought I missed how Mom, you're going in the wrong direction. I missed whether she corrected or whether it was okay to go in the wrong direction, because didn't matter where you landed on the lake, you could pick up and do the last third. So I was confused at that point. I thought it was a great speech.
Super. Thank you very much, Julie. Lorraine?
Thank you, Pat. I also agree with some of the points that you made. I thought the high energy was necessary, but almost to the point of being too much. I myself felt it within me as if I was getting anxious, wanting to huff and puff with her. It was very relatable, I thought, and I like that, rather not making decisions to go left or to right. The other side of the inner critic is always nudging us in some way or another to tell us that we can't do something. So that message came across for me, as well as persevering, that's my word, came across for me. And the humor was something that I appreciated a lot. Thank you.
Superb. Thank you, Lorraine. Harold G.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Evaluator. I enjoyed the speech. It was humorous. As you pointed out, she's a little too dramatic in the gestures. But when she lost her way, I thought it was particularly humorous. When they were trying to correct her, they had to call her number as a racer. And I thought that was interesting. She realized who she was and she corrected it. The inner voice is always powerful. The split, the inner voice, the outer voice. I enjoyed the speech.
Thank you, Harold. Roombai, are you with us? Roombi?
Yes. Can you see me?
Yes, we can. Well, I can't see you, but we can hear you, Roombi.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I can see you now on a different screen. Oh, there you go.
Oh, okay. All right, great. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, depending on which part of the country you are. So today's speech, the first speech that I that we saw for the world champion, I loved the message about the inner cheerleader or the inner critic. And this was very relatable to me because she always went back after each and every example to, have you been there? So it made me get to that point where I wanted to think about it and say, yeah, I have been there. What I would have loved, though, was for her to incorporate some more pauses within her speech to give me that time to reflect, and for her to put in more examples at the end that affect the audience, how that would relate to us. So yeah, overall it was a very great speech, and I really loved it. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Ruby. I see hands up. John.
Yeah, I agree with what a lot of people have said. I enjoyed the energy and I thought the humor was fantastic. That was really great. It was so energetic. I thought we were going to break out into a Taibo or an aerobics class, and she was going, no, really. And I felt like I was getting worked. And to Ruby's point, slow down. There was a worthwhile message. Let me feel it rather than being from the mountaintop. She was disconnected. I liked it, but I didn't feel it deeply. And that left me unsatisfied. Back to you.
Thank you, John. Vicky.
Thank you. I also found her hilarious. The thing, again, to emphasize and give an example, I needed her to get quiet. And she could have gotten quiet when she said, that race took a lot out of me, but I took a lot out of the race. At the end, when she was giving examples of, have you been there? Do you start chemo? Do you finish chemo? Man, as someone who's in this thing with cancer, that hit me. And it was like, do you start chemo? Do you finish chemo? And a slight nod of her head would have been effective. Excellent job. And echo everything else everyone else has said. Back to you, Pat.
Thank you, Vicky. Helen.
I think it's the last one because we are over 7 minutes.
Okay, the last one for Helen then, please.
Thank you, Pat. Well, echoing a lot what other people have said about her speed, well, things I have enjoyed. I enjoyed her use of story throughout. She did use a little bit of rhetoric with alliteration, but again, her vocals were rather shouty and she was rushing and she sounded out of breath. And much like everyone else has said, slow up, let me digest your words. I'm afraid I didn't actually find the story very plausible. My reason for this is that I'm no triathlon expert, but my friend is, and you are advised not to backstroke. If you go off track, going 50 meters, you would have been pulled in before then. And they do not get your attention by shouting. You can't hear. So that, for me, weakened her message. And of course, at the end, I did feel that it was very rushed. She's mentioning Henry Ford, chemo. So it got a little bit diluted.
Time is over. Time is over.
Thank you, Helen. Vincent, do I have a minute now to conclude?
Yes, you have a minute to conclude.
Yeah, okay, we do. Okay, so.
All right. Well, you know what? I think that the feedback that we've got on this speech for the speaker and for everybody in the audience has been absolutely excellent, because we all picked up the similar things, the breathlessness, the rushing, the not taking time for the big messages at the end, and slightly what I felt was overplaying the piece. So I think that we have a lot to take from this, and the different perspectives and the different views of people came out as well as, great speech, a lot of humor, or somewhat overplayed, and I didn't quite relate to it. So I think there's a lot for us to take out of those evaluations, and very, very valuable feedback. And it would be wonderful for the speaker, I think, to get that feedback and to hear it, notwithstanding that she's a world champion in public speaking, but how individuals relate to the speech. And the things that we value in that or don't value in that are things that could come out. And the whole idea of mentioning, do I take chemo or not? I thought, actually, when I think about it, that was a little bit crude in some ways, because that context it was completely out of context, and it could have been put into some context, not something that you find somebody who's doing a triathlon would probably have as a consideration.
You are over time.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pat. Thank you very much, Karina, for timing and interrupting and telling us where we go. We will go to the second runner-up speech, and it will be John Graham, who will be our host for the round robin. I think we have already shown that we are very good at giving feedback, even to very senior speakers. I think well done to you all. I would like to ask Sandra to show us the video recording of the second speech, please.
Nisha Shivram, swipe, swipe, Nisha Shivram. Thank you, contest chair. You're welcome. Excited? Last year, when I made my maiden trip from Qatar to the United States of America, I was also very excited and very anxious because I was traveling all alone across the Atlantic with a long layover at London. At Qatar International Airport, I stood worried and hoped for a helping hand. That was when I felt one on my shoulders. Huh? Contest chair, can you see someone here? Friends, it was a tiny lady in baggy clothes and a shabby bag looking up to me. Excuse me, my name is Feli. I'm going to the US, first time, alone. Please help. Of course. Well, I helped her through check-in to boarding and prayed, no further please. But in London, she tagged on to me just like Siamese twin and followed me everywhere, to the lobby, layover lounge, even to the loo. Just like Mary's little lamb. Now, before I could even lounge in peace, she tagged me along to buy a mobile charger for her. Now that shop accepted only card payments, and she did not have a card. Excuse me, do you have a card? Just 15 pounds for the charger. Please help. Card? I have the card, but not enough credit. Well, she took the card and swiped for the charger. Swipe. Water bottle. Swipe. Sanitizer. Swipe. Perfume. You all are enjoying my plight? And there, $175. She then lured me into the food court. But, smelling the risk of another expensive swipe, I stood still, holding on to my card. And there she was with a tray full of food. Oh, my card! Feli, too much food. Yes, that cafe accepted my cash. And this food is for you, my friend, because you helped me with your card. Thank you so much. God bless you. And then She returned all the money she owed without taking a single penny for the food she bought. Feli, a poor home nurse, was traveling to Phoenix to nurse her terminally ill boss. All she had were a few dollars and no card. But she had the heart to buy a perfume for her boss and buy me food for letting her swipe my card. I felt like a card with zero credit. Absolutely worthless. Feli flew to Phoenix, and on my flight to Nashville, I remembered certain people in my life. My school teacher, who paid my fees when my father passed away. And that old lady at the hospital corridor who tied my shoelaces when I was heavily pregnant. And that kind heart who gave me a job in his company. They all had shared their cards with me during their tough times, and I'm sure you also have such people in your life. I shrunk in shame, realizing that I was holding on to my card too tight. By the time I landed in Nashville, my will and willingness to be of help changed. I saw a young mother with one-year-old twin struggling at the baggage claim. We all know that feeling. I held her babies while she collected her bags. Swipe. I helped an old lady fill the immigration form while she sat and sipped her coffee. Swipe. Yes, I have stopped holding on to my card. Now, I'm not talking about the credit card or the plastic card with money. No, this could be the card of your experience and expertise. This could be the card of your contacts and connections. This could be the card of your time and kind words. Surprisingly, we all have one such card right in our wallet. And let me tell you, our value does not lie in these cards. Our value lies in our willingness to help and make a difference in others' life, one swipe at a time. Ladies and gentlemen, life is an exciting journey with some layovers en route. And it is during such layovers we realize, we are not traveling alone. We all are traveling together with our own special, unique card. And you know what? We need each other. We need each other's card. The card issued by the Bank of Humanity. The card accepted by everybody. And the card with enough credit for each and every fellow traveler. Today, please take a moment and look around. Do you see a Feli looking up to you? All you have to do is swipe. Contest chair.
Brilliant, Sandra. Thank you very much for showing us this recording. Remember, we give the evaluation of how we felt about the speech, how it spoke to us, what we will remember. I would like to call onto the stage John Graham, who will be leading our second set of evaluation. John, are you ready?
Thank you, Vincent. Yes, I think I'm ready. I came away with a little laughter at the end there. Boy, that hit me with a little bit of emotion. And what she did was wonderful. She really is a combination humorous speech with a personal story, morality, and then a call to action. All of those components very well expressed. She had a lot of symbolism and analogies, like the card swipe was a symbol for our own hearts and how we should give more and how we all have something different to give. And she gave illustrations of that. An analogy is the bank. You know, the bank of humanity. I thought that was a wonderful analogy. Throughout this, she started with excitement, a lot of excitement. She got a little distracted with the the person that was controlling the contest, and she referred to that person twice. I think that it would have been better if she had left the other person out and made her speech just about the audience and herself, which she did very well. I see him at the end. And the other thing I would suggest is that using swipe at the beginning and at the end, and then there's a really indelible moment. Can you swipe? That was the call to action. Thank you. Okay, now let me call on some of you for interpretations. Pat, please give us your interpretation.
Thank you, John. I liked the message overall, the message that we all have something unique that we can give that can benefit others. Don't be afraid to give it. Be generous in your giving. And I thought that message was good. I felt sometimes I feel that the speeches that we get in the World Championship of Public Speaking tends to just hit us like a hammer on the head rather bluntly. And this was one of those rather a little bit blunt, super message, but just delivered a little bit bluntly in terms of, repeating again and again and again. Could you have failed not to get this message? I think you could, but I do think that the message could have been a little bit subtle. Unlike the other one, not enough time given. This one probably too much time focused on that message at the end. So for me, a little bit overplayed, but good message overall. Thank you, John.
Thank you, Pat. April.
To echo what Pat was saying about a little heavy-handed, there was a time when I felt I was being lectured to, and I don't really care for that when I am giving of my time to listen to a speaker. I like the idea of making sure that giving is a very strong focus of my life. Swipe is a little menacing, actually, in terms of how I saw it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, April. How about Rasak? Rasak, are you there? Are you available, Rasak? Bidzai. Oh, you are there, Rasak? Go ahead, please.
No, I was gonna say Wade had his hand up. Will?
Who did?
Wale.
Wale,
Thank you.
please go, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate the message in the speech and the usage of words like bank of humanity, kindness, and though she overemphasized some of her message, but it gives me a soul-searching message. I think it also got me thinking deeper. That am I giving out the best of me to humanity out there? And it's also a soul-searching message for me as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Wale. Thank you very much. Muriel.
Yes, I enjoyed the speech. I'm glad I had a chance to hear it a second time. I love the message. The message was really good. I think it's a universal message that people try to really get out. I just would have liked her to use another metaphor. I couldn't really relate to the card at all. And so that kind of took away, since that was really the central part, the central prop that she used was the swipe and the swiping and to be able to give. But overall, I thought it was a pretty decent speech. I just am kind of worn out on what I call kumbaya speeches myself. But I think overall, it was really good. Thank you.
Thank you, Muriel. Do we have time for one more?
Yes, we have time for one more. But we are over. I don't think we can have the third speech because in 10 minutes we will start table topics.
Well, let me stop now, and I'll just say that I think that the alternative title for this would be "The Contagion of Kindness." And back to you, Mr. Who's the Toastmaster?
I am the Toastmaster. Thank
Okay,
you,
Vincent, back to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, John, for a wonderful session of feedback and how we felt about it. Our third speaker will be being introduced and being Sandra again, and Vicky will be our round robin host. I think we are okay with time. We are a bit close to, but we will try to make it as fast as possible. Off you go, Sandra.
So did we decide to do the third speech?
I think we do have time, yes.
Yeah.
1 second, I'll cue that.
You have no idea. You have no idea, Miriam Ghani.
Thank you, contest chair.
You're welcome.
Have you ever felt like your parents and you come from different planets? My father and I, different galaxies. We speak different languages. He speaks Arabic, I speak millennial. He speaks safety and certainty. I speak freedom and fun. Picture a tall ex-military, but extra caring, with extra high pants. That's my father, Sammy. Are you familiar with helicopter parents? My dad is an Iraqi drone. Mimi, come back home. The closer he hovered, the further I escaped. When I was 3 on family vacation, the moment we got to the hotel, I sprinted straight to the open elevator doors, the silver gates of freedom. Dad flipped the hotel upside down to find me, and he found me, sitting with kind strangers, eating their pistachios. I mean, who needs parents when you've got pistachios? Mimi, never do this again. You have no idea how much I love you. Bye. When I was 16, I went ice skating for the first time. Dad stopped me at the door. Mimi, please be careful. This ice, it is very dangerous. If you fall, you're gonna die. But the teen in me was determined. No, you just want to stop me from living my life. You're always in my way. Mimi, come back home. You have no idea how much I love you. When I was 21, I was told I was losing my eyesight. That day, Dad asked the doctor, "Doctor, can I please give her my eyes?" It was the first time I had ever seen my military father cry. I had no idea how much he loved me. I grew up, Dad grew older, and we grew apart. I used my diagnosis to chase the freedom I craved. I wanted to see the world before losing my sight. But wherever I went, something was missing, calling, "Miriam, come back home." And I did go back home this year
when Dad's progressing Parkinson's landed him in hospital. I sat by his bedside and gently held his frail hands. Every part of me wished I could take away his disease. Dad, Baba, remember when you asked the doc, can I give her my eyes? Why did you say that? Mimi, you really have no idea how much I love you. And for the first time, Dad told me stories about his past, my past. When you were just a year old, during the war in Iraq, I guarded the door all night to protect you. And even today, I would still protect you. So, would you still give me your eyes? And how do I get around? Dad, Mimi, you don't need them anymore. But I do, so I can keep seeing you growing into the brave daughter you have become. I am proud of you. I've never felt so free being home. Baba, you have no idea how much I love you. Although my father and I come from different galaxies, after 33 years, we finally spoke the same language. I may have lost my sight, but Dad gave me insight on how to live, how to love unconditionally. He taught me that no matter what language you speak, there is one that is universally understood, one that unites nations, friends, families. That's the language of the heart. How would this world be if we all spoke that language? If we all loved like Sammy? You have no idea.
Thank you very much, Sandra. I would like to call on to the stage Vicky. She will run the round robin, and we will only have time for 5 evaluations.
Thank you very much, Vincent. I'd like to say a couple things about Miriam's speech. I think we all saw in all 3 speeches a level of theatricality. Lots of moving around, throwing pistachios up in the sky. A lot of her movements for me were over the top, but when she looked down at her hands and she said, Baba, you have no idea how much I love you, she paused and she came center stage. Very powerful use of movement for me. One thing that distracted me was her outfit. As a speaker, you should not wear clothes that people spend time thinking about. And I spent a lot of time thinking about her cape. That's all I'd like to say. And now, if you would like to give feedback, would you please raise your virtual hand so you'll be up along the top of my screen and I will call on you. John White.
Well, I wanted to defend the outfit, but I won't do that. Let me just say this. Of the 3 speeches I saw, this was the best for me. This was the most emotionally connected. It could be that I'm a father, but I felt everything that she delivered. I wasn't being worked. I wasn't being managed. I wasn't being sold something that I was going to use my swipe credit card for. It was authentic. Then, as far as what to work on, then she stood up front and said, oh, it was choreographed. Here comes the delivery of the message. And I guess I'd had higher expectations. I thought she missed a little as she tried to generalize the father-daughter love into a general statement. I would have liked that to have been tightened up. But I felt that more than any other of the speech. It wasn't even close. Back to you.
Yeah.
Thank you, John. John Graham.
Yes, I also really loved it, and I thought the outfit was not distracting for me. I thought she was well dressed. I think each speaker has been done well. I really like the fact that she opened and closed with some of the same concepts. That, you know, the galaxy of difference, the galaxy of, you know, between herself and her father, and the opposition. I got those things. I liked her transition from helicopter parent to drone parent. You know, it gave me kind of a different look at that, and I could see that, yes, that's her father. So I love that. And then at the end, finishing with the universal language of heart. Now, maybe that could have been part of the beginning as well as the ending. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Rabak.
Okay. Outfit for me, that was sensational. That showed me she was bold. She was a leader. We don't always get that in Toastmasters. For me, what made this different from the other speeches was the contrast, and especially the second half when she went so slow and was so simple to follow. You couldn't miss that message. So for me, I agree with the others. That was a winner.
Thank you. Any feedback that could have made it better? Rabak. Rabak.
I just put my hand up to touch my nose. That's all.
Oh, okay. Thank you. And one more, Muriel.
Well, let Rumba go.
Okay, Rumbi, you're up.
Go ahead, Rumbi.
Okay. Her speech was it was a very emotional speech. It tugged on your heartstrings, and that's something that's quite impressive for a speech. What I felt could have been done better was I didn't get much of the with him, the what's in it for me. It was a very touching story. She brushed a bit at the end to say, oh, we should all be a great, what can we change by showing people having that love. I didn't quite really get the with him or the main message. I'm not sure whether it was just that it was overshadowed by the other speeches where they were reinforcing it more. But I felt that the conclusion could have been more structured so that it's more relatable to the general audience and just not to her experience. This is just my feedback.
Thank you. I'm going to suggest if you have more feedback to give, would you put it in the chat? And we're going to launch a poll to see which speech you like best. So Sandra, can you launch the best speaker poll and everybody can vote?
It's not letting me set up a new one. So if you could, and maybe we can do it right before your GE report after our SNAP evaluations and table topics.
I'm going to launch it right now just to have it done. We can give the results later. So if you all see it on your screen, if you could, oops, wrong poll. Back. Best speaker, try this one. There you go. And I will give the results in my general evaluation. We have 20 people, so I'd like to get 17 or 18. I know those of us who are co-hosts cannot vote.
Okay. We continue while we're counting votes. Now we have representatives from 3 different parts of the world, 3 different continents. United States, we've got Africa, and we have Europe. And then there's a representative from an island, an independent Brexit island. And I would like to call onto the virtual stage Helen from this very island. somebody, they don't really want to talk to anybody. We don't relate to anybody. They are just very much independent minded. Today's tabletop discussion will be slightly different because after the snap evaluations, after the table topics, Helen will ask one of us to give a 45-second evaluation, which again harps on commendations and recommendations. So it's likely that you will be called on giving a quick evaluation. So be mindful and keep an eye on what is being said. Helen, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Vincent. Historical, memorable speeches. I think this theme is brilliant, but so first of all, but how do so many of these speeches become so memorable? How do they stand the test of time? Rhetoric. Rhetoric in even 2,000 years has not changed. And when used with skill, it can change the course of nations. It can shape the entire world. There are hundreds of rhetorical devices. You add just one to your speech, and it can help elevate it and make it more memorable. Two of my favorites are tricolons. For example, Franklin Roosevelt. Be sincere, be brief, be seated. And second, antithesis, a bit of a tongue twister. That example, one of my favorite speakers, I don't know if you've heard him, Colonel Tim Collins, Eve of Battle speech. An example he gave, antithesis, was, we go to liberate, not to conquer. He flips it round. So tonight, I'd like you to deliver a speech using historical scenarios, identify your ethos, use pathos, and incorporate at least one of those two devices which I explained. A bonus point if you managed two. So first up, I'll just go along. Who does somebody want to raise their hand to go first? No, I will just, because Victoria?
Oh, Pat Caslin raised his hand. I'd rather
Oh,
hear
sorry, Pat. Sorry, yes, you're the other. Yeah, no worries, Pat. So, JFK conquering space. I want you to swap it around. Provide a speech to fellow Americans in the case of the exploration of Apollo did not succeed on landing on the moon. Rebuild the nation's hope. Thank you, Pat.
I think I would find it difficult, Madam Tabletop Master, to rebuild the nation's hope, but I could perhaps use the antithetical device that was used on the landing of the moon. This is one small step for a man, one giant leap for mankind, which is a beautiful use of antithesis. But rhetoric is something that William Shakespeare described as the glib and oily art to speak and purpose not. And it's worth thinking about that, that he did not see this as something that was necessarily a good thing, the glib and oily art to speak and purpose not. But if it had failed, I would say, I would use the words of Beckett: ever tried, ever failed, no matter, try again, fail better, as a way of encouraging people to continue to try, to not accept failure, and to use the idea that Thomas Edison says, it's not that I have failed, but I have learned thousands of ways that it doesn't work. So I would say to the people, continue to make the effort. It will be worth it in the end. And not because you'll have stood on the moon, but because of all of the things you'll have learned about the effort of getting there and the consequential things that look inconsequential at the time, but all of the side benefits of mathematical and other understandings that will come from that endeavor. Continue to endeavor. Ever tried, ever failed, never mind, try again, fail better. Madam Topics Master.
Excellent. Thank you, Pat. And well done for incorporating those two devices. For snap evaluation, I'm going to call upon Vincent.
Yes, a masterpiece of using rhetorics and a masterpiece of showing that he has literary knowledge. I would recommend using less filler words. There were quite a few M's, and for an advanced club, there were just too many. Thank you.
Thank you, Vincent. So, April? Yeah. So, it's the beginning of the 20th century, and you're a suffragette in court facing a bigoted judge. Use your persuasive powers to explain you have done nothing wrong and that they should be behind your cause.
Your Honor, I led the March for Insurrection out of the good and kindness of my heart. I have done nothing wrong by stating my views, nor have any of the thousands of people following me done a thing wrong, because they're standing up for what they believe in, as all of us as human beings must do.
Thank you, April. For snap evaluation, I'll take it to Harold, please.
A snap evaluation. Well, when you look at a speech or listen to a speech, first of all, you want to listen to the beginning. Why should you listen to it? What draws you in? And of course, there is the body, the three items, something for you, three things should be for you in that body. And then you can wrap it up with a conclusion. Go back to your beginning. Answer that question, just like you failed, and fail again. And get up and try again. In your speech, you make a point. I'm innocent, and I continue to strive for innocence. And just because I've been accused of swindling people doesn't mean it's true. And go back and say, I've given partial percentages of my money to poor people, so let me go. Anyway, beginning, body, conclusion. Adam, evaluator.
Thank you, Harold. So hopefully we've got time for one more. I've just had a message. We're running out of time.
Yes, I think we have time for one more.
Oh, good. Because I've written 7, so but Lee, would you like to have a go?
Sure.
Yeah, brilliant. Now, of course, there have been many famous electoral victory campaign speeches. Yeah. My favorite, Barack Obama in 2008, the election campaign by Ronald Reagan in 1964. So, Lee, your request. You have been elected to be Russia's next prime minister. Make an acceptance speech to your constituency and fellow Russians.
Thank you, comrades and friends. Well, it's about time that the new Russia is going to move forward. Yes, we realized in the 1980s, when the wall came down, that democracy was the way of the world, and that communism stamps down the freedoms of America, of all people of this world. Thomas Jefferson said it best. If you don't have the freedom of thought, no other freedom is worth having. And now, my fellow comrades and people of the world, Russia is going to be the new Russia. We're going to have strong ties with the democratic world, because freedom and egalitarian is what we need to make this world a better place. We can no longer have the dichotomy of different ideologies. The only way this world will ever survive is if we all believe in one goal, and that is freedom and making sure this planet survives into the future, because it's the only spaceship that we have. Thank you for your vote, and I am going to take you into the future. Madam Comrade.
Superbly. Thank you very much. For snap evaluation for Lee, Sue, please. Are you okay to do that, Sue? Yeah?
Sure, I'll give my best.
Brilliant. Thank you.
I think you really like what I liked about your answer was that you really tried to emulate that Russian accent, which is really good, and you used also the words from like cameras and Russia, and you try to emulate that a little bit more pompous style of speaking, which is typical for that region. So that was really brilliantly done, and I don't know how it came up so fast. It was such a really great, spot-on answer. So well done.
Thank you very much, Sue. Now, am I understanding that that is the end, or can we squeeze one more in, or it's the end?
Right.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Madam Comrade, thank you very much for taking us into this perhaps complicated terrain of becoming the next Prime Minister of Russia. How would you appreciate that? Having said that, I would like to call onto the stage our timer. Have we been doing okay, Mrs. Timer, Comrade Timer? Tovarish Timer?
Yes, we are doing okay. I'm putting on the chat the reports of the evaluation. You can see I just
Yes, I saw.
copied. It's easy for you. You can see each report, and I just gave you the time for the table topics. Pat was 1 minute and 43 seconds, and Vincent evaluation was 16 seconds. April was 20 seconds, and Harold used 49 seconds. And Lee used 1 minute and 8 seconds, and Sue for evaluation 28 seconds. That is my report.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Now I would like to turn the virtual stage over to Vicky, who will be our GE. She will be giving
Thank you very much, Mr. Toastmaster. I have to tell you that this was an excellent meeting. From the beginning, it was well orchestrated and well prepared. Sandra and I talked a number of times. I know Vincent, you and she spoke, and we did something different today. As masters of evaluation, as you said, Vincent, we should be able to evaluate all levels of speeches. And I thought the feedback that was given was excellent. Remember, everyone, to give your opinion, and it is only yours, on what you think could be improved. Every single one of our speakers today had areas where they could improve, and I really appreciate all the feedback. I promised to give you a report on who won. Speaker number 3 got 50% of the votes for best speaker. Speakers number 1 and 2 split evenly, 25%. So, judging a speech, why it wins, it is very subjective, and we all have to remember that and not take it personally. The speaker who won, number 1, is quite happy with all that, and as she should be, but we got good feedback. I thought that the slides that Sandra did, putting them on the screen, continually sharing them in the chat, was excellent. The snap evaluations, Helen, excellent job on a tough table topics, but you really managed it well. Overall, I felt that the meeting was well run, well managed. We had lots of guests. And the only other thing I would say is make sure you check with guests, see if they're willing to speak, and try to get in as many different speakers as you could. Like you called on me to do table topics, and I have quite a few speaking roles today. So the more we can engage our entire audience, the better. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Vicky, for giving us valuable feedback. And perhaps, if you can, send the recording onto these 3 speakers. They might enjoy what we have said, and maybe it gives them some sort of idea of how to improve their speeches. I didn't have a chance to do that, and I'm now going to talk about the three speakers in one go, talking about your weight and your legs. The first and the third speaker both shifted their weight from the left leg to the right leg, from the right leg to the left leg, whereas the middle speaker kept both feet on the ground. And that is very important because balance is very important to your speaking to your audience. Because if you shift your weight all the time from left to right, right to left, that shows insecurity. So it's something to take home from your Toastmaster as well. Having said that, I would like to turn this virtual stage back to our president, and I will say goodbye. I wish you a very pleasant weekend. I will tell you a little secret, just between you and I. Tomorrow, Karine and I will be going off. We will have our 25th anniversary, wedding anniversary. So we will be celebrating, and we will take you all along with us, and we will keep our speeches to between 5 and 7 minutes. John, it's yours.
Vincent, I love you, but if we can all unmute and applaud and give our love and understanding and support to Karina. Karina,
Thank
well
you very
done.
much.
Well
Thank
done.
you. Thank you.
It only looks like it's been 10 years. You weathered it well. But really, congratulations. That's wonderful. Let's get some feedback. But before we do, let's take a picture, because I'm sometimes forgetful and might forget that our VP of PR is not around. Can someone take a picture? Let's all look into that camera and smile. Is someone doing that, Vicky? Is that you?
I'm trying. Everybody look up. Got it. Thank you.
Okay, great. So why don't we hear from the guests? Lorraine, what were your thoughts?
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. This was a wonderful meeting. It lets me know how much I need to gain in experience to become not only a master evaluator, but a master at the very challenging Karina table topics. I would have gotten a 0 had you called on me. But thank you for the opportunity. I think it's a lot of experience here in the room that, again, I can add value to my learning curve.
I agree. That's why I joined. It just expands you by the exposure to other brilliant minds from different part of the country. Pat was so impressive. I thought there was someone in his ear giving them the answers, but I know from 2 years of experience with him, that was his own mind. He read all that. That just came contemporaneous. Pat, unbelievable. Raybach, what do you have to say at now 4 o'clock? How are you holding up in the morning?
Yeah, good. I enjoyed it. Thank you very much.
Great to see you. Wale, Thomas, what are you thinking today?
Yes, thank you very much. I had fun here today, going from other continents of the world. It's a pleasure meeting all of you. And I'll be glad to be back again if I get an invite. Thank you so much.
And even if you don't get an invite from Muriel, you get an invitation from all of us. So please join us. It's the first and third Friday at 9 o'clock. We'd love to see you all. I understand that you also a Table Topics champion. So
yes.
Respect to you. Well done. Well done. You were chomping at the bit to get a question from Ellen, but next time. Lee, Comrade Lee, now that you're president of Russia, will you have time to come back and join us again?
Yes, sir. What I will say about this club is unapologetic, very honest evaluations, and you always follow up with the why you're making the statement. So this club is very powerful. And I mean, we looked at 3 world champion stage speeches today, and everybody came back with areas for improvement and what they like. So this club is very unique. Thank you very much for having me.
Lee recently shared his speech, which was second place at District 1, which was a very good speech. So you were just 1 vote away from possibly being in the contest in Bahamas. So well done. Helen, those table topics, my goodness.
Yeah, well, it was a challenge putting them all together. Like I said, it's just a shame I ran out of time to do some more, because I've got some fantastic more ones. So maybe save them for next time.
It was well done, and you really are raising the bar. I don't know about those of you that are in the United States. I have a bachelor's and a master's from UCLA, good schools. Whenever I'm around these European folks, I'm like, God, I am so stupid. Anyway, Harold G., you're an American and brilliant. What do you have to say about the meeting?
You're too kind. I enjoyed the meeting, and I realized how rusty I am regarding evaluations. It was very good to listen to everyone. I enjoyed the meeting, and I get my check out and I'll mail it in.
All right. Woo-hoo.
Great news. Helen, Muriel said you're the bomb diggity, which basically means you're quality, top notch.
Oh, right. Oh, I set the bar then maybe for next time. I should get my thinking hat on.
And when she says you're lit, she's also complimenting you just to prepare you for further compliments as you return. Ruba's Eye, can you give us your thoughts on the meeting? We miss you terribly.
Yeah, I really loved being back and just having the feedback and all the different role players throughout this whole meeting. I just love the level of commitment that comes into each and every player, every role taken by the members of the team, by the guests. It always, helps me to refocus my priorities, and I'm always re-engaged or reignited in my passion to try and get better at speaking and evaluating and improving my leadership skills. So glad to be back.
Great. I look forward to you rejoining us. Sue, what were your thoughts? Great to see you again. I see you haven't lost anything on your evaluation skills. Still sharp.
Thank you. It was brilliantly done, and it's such a pleasure to come in here. I was already impressed the first time when I was here. Love how you do the table topics. Love the level of feedback that the table topics, people who answer the question, are receiving. I think that's brilliantly done. And what I just can tell about this club is you truly raise the bar in all aspects. Like with the world champions, yes, especially when you see it maybe a second time, you do realize there are flaws in those speeches. They're humans as well, and they have to improve themselves too. And just like maybe seeing certain aspects, what they may have, what they could have done better, helps each and everyone in here to improve their communication skills and their speaking or their next speech as well, because that's when you start focusing on different things. One thing that I noticed, for example, was Miriam's speech. She started looking down when she was talking about the hand of her father. To me personally, I felt almost she lost contact to the audience because she was looking down instead of into the audience. So that was a little takeaway that I missed to say earlier. But these are just like the little nuances that you just pick up once you start seeing it again, and maybe somebody else points it out. Otherwise, the first time you see it, you're just blown away, like, wow, what a dynamic speech. So I really, truly appreciate each and everyone's feedback in here. I'm learning so much from each and every one of you, and it's such a pleasure to be here. Thank you again.
It's really great to see you. I hope you come back soon. And I agree. We've talked about past winners, and there's been disagreement that or people would see things that, oh, I didn't like the suit. The men like, oh, I thought it was great. It's a varied opinion. I think we have covered everyone, but Rasak, care to share your thoughts about the meeting?
Okay, good evening once again, everyone. I must say I enjoyed myself so much today. I have learned a lot from the evaluations, though I was a bit distracted in the middle, but I learned a lot, and I'm happy to be here. I'm looking forward to be here again if I get an invite. It's a great moment. Thank you very much.
Well, please do come back. And I want to reiterate a comment made by Vicky and others. There's a lot of work put into this. And so guests come back, we have this quality, but also to our members. I mean, I appreciate that Sue and Vicky and Vincent did all the hard work, but if you have ideas for other workshops or themes that you might do, we're here to receive them. And you have a supportive group that can help you put it together if you're not quite as proficient in slides and things of that sort. So we look forward to more content to make that interesting. We will now